got it in front of the net. Knies is alone. Scores! Matthew Knies makes a great move in front of the goal. And seconds later, the Leafs are on the board. First NHL goal for the rookie.
No. It's let's go.
You can't say that after a loss.
Welcome back to the Leafscast. Stephen Douglas joined by Tim and Ryan Allison after Game 1 of the Maple Leafs second round series against the Florida Panthers, where they took an L. They took an L, guys.
It took an L. It was all the same. It was probably exactly what all of us anticipated. It's funny. After the second intermission, I was saying to Tim, like, this game is so different from any other playoff games we've played in the past. It just was like fast and exciting, and like there wasn't nonsense going on in between every single whistle with Patrick Maroon or something. Like, it was, putting the L aside, that was just a refreshing playoff experience, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it was, except we lost.
You know, the first little bit of the game, I honestly had to remind myself that it was a playoff game, because it almost felt like we stepped out of the playoffs right and hopped back into the regular season. It was that different. And yeah, it was fun, but frustrating as well, because until it was 4-2, I spent the entire game just like knowing the Leafs were going to win. I was like, yep, the Leafs are still going to win this one. We were down 1-0 for the majority of the game, I think. I was like, oh yeah, Leafs got this thing in the bag. And then they didn't.
Well, we just had stretches where we looked so good, like so dangerous, and like good puck movement, like good speed, everything. But then like it just never quite connected. And I personally blame Steven for calling Bobrovsky all washed up and old. Thank you for that.
What do you want me to say? Like Bob played well, yes, but like I don't know. Like I
the man made 8 saves in the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, but he looked really good in that third period. I looked at a lot of what they did though. A handful of it was just like some bad puck luck, some missing the net, some like, I don't know. It almost felt like the Leafs too, for a bit of the game, forgot they were in the playoffs and just like played a little bit more loose. And I don't know. It was a lot of these missed nets. Matthews with like a prime opportunity, just wide left. Willie with that, like, he would have been naked in front of the net and just like didn't even know it. That kind of stuff.
All right, guys, we've been talking for 2.5 minutes and we have not yet acknowledged the best thing to come out of this game. The one bright spot amongst the loss. And that man's name is Matthew Knies' first NHL goal. So exciting. How does
that was very fun. I mean, and he deserved it too. He looked great. He tried to go between his legs earlier in the game, and then he ended up getting his goal between the legs again. I don't know. I guess I think that's actually Matthew Tkachuk's kind of signature move. So maybe he's trying to impress the guy or something. But it was only a matter of time before he got on the score sheet. It's nice to see him finally do it, though.
A pretty uncommon first goal where, like, who gets that kind of a second opportunity with essentially nobody in front of you, right in front of the net, only against the Florida Panthers? It's just like, that's the kind of goal that wouldn't have gotten scored, and it feels like any other playoff series. And how did we not get more of those tonight? Like, I'm so happy for Matthew Knies. I mean, he needed to at this point. Like, you know, he's coming into his 10th game. You got to get a goal, buddy. But just frustrating. I won't give all the credit to Bobrovsky. Not yet.
No, I mean,
Not
you are
yet.
right, Steven. Like, I think the Florida Panthers defense came exactly as advertised. They were, nothing. Maybe it's because we've been spoiled seeing the richness of the Tampa Bay Lightning defense, all those, multiple playoff series in a row. This was just like nowhere near the same game. We had odd man rushes and just able to get to the net. And I'm looking here on TSN and looking at where the shot tracking and where our shots are from. All their shots are just like all over the place. They're just shooting from the hash marks, the blue line, the goal line from like way in the corner. And then you look at where our shots were coming from, and there's like 30 of them that are within 5 feet of the net. We were just able to get anywhere to get our shots across, especially at the end of the game. You could really feel that we had no problem getting to the front of the net. And yeah, some bad puck luck. Bobrovsky made some unbelievable saves, a few missed nets. You can't complain with the way that the Leafs played offensively, though. We looked like we could have scored 5 or 6 that game, and it just didn't go our way.
I mean, there's also the power play. Like, our power plays looked good. I mean, I think we had 40 seconds of power play at the end of the game, but at that point, the game was over. But the first two power plays, I mean, we didn't score, but we did everything. But I mean, do we want to talk about the defense, like the Leafs defense? I wouldn't say like
But while you were talking about the power play there, Tim, I think the biggest difference that I saw was our ability to just enter the zone like it was nothing. It was so hard to do that against Tampa. And I was kind of actually just thinking about it earlier today that I wonder if it's because Nylander's not on that top unit. He's one of our best zone entry dudes, as we call them on this pod. And he wasn't on the top unit. He was kind of bumped to the second unit for O'Reilly and thinking, oh, well, maybe he needs to go back to the top unit. But not anymore. We just kind of walk in there and we have a full 2 minutes to play around in their end. I don't think we end up getting a power play goal, but you said special teams were going to be a difference maker, Steven. And the way that our power play looked, it's only a matter of time before they start going in.
Well, if we're gonna, I mean, we're down 1-0 in the series. Like, if we're gonna come back and win this thing, it's going to need to be an advantage. Like, it looked that way tonight, and I don't think they scored a power play goal. And like, I'm not concerned about it because they looked so good. Like, that was almost like the best power play I've ever seen. Like, that didn't result in a goal. I mean, just like the speed and like slowly closing in on him, and like it was completely textbook. And I hope Paul Maurice doesn't make any adjustments or kind of realize how much this team was about to get caved in. It's just like in terms of sweating buckets, like for how much, like I'm concerned if the Leafs are losing right now. I'm literally a zero. My bucket is dry, but I could see why there would be some sweat.
You're dripping sweat. You're dripping sweat. You're dripping sweat.
I'm not Gordon Ramsay, but are you guys dripping sweat?
I mean, I'm not sure if I'm nervous. I am disappointed though. Like, I think the Leafs were handed a gift with one, Florida being lower than them in the standings, having home ice advantage. That's gone now. Florida stole it away. And the NHL, weird scheduling going on. No Saturday games, turning around like one day in between Florida's overtime game 7. Like, the Leafs should have been able to capitalize on a tired Florida team. And instead, we look like the tired team in the third period. We are the ones that ran out of gas. So I am disappointed that the Leafs couldn't dig deep enough to pull off the win. Is that changing my prediction in the series? Maybe I'm now at 6 games because I thought this was a winnable game for them, but like, I don't know.
Here's why I'm sweating
Leafs.
some buckets over here. I'm not sweating buckets the way the Leafs played. They played great, and I actually think that the Leafs were the better team in this game, and they deserve to win. I'm sweating buckets for 2 reasons. One is Bobrovsky even more so than it was before. I don't know how you're just playing it off like, yeah, he was good, Steven. I think that Bobrovsky was first star of the game for Florida, and we would have run away with it if he wasn't robbing our guys on the doorstep. So the fact that Bobrovsky's back to this form, yeah, it's definitely concerning. We saw it with Carey Price. We saw it with Korpisalo. We saw it at the tail end of last season with Vasilevsky. Sometimes goalies just make you lose, and if Bobrovsky's going to do that to us, then that's not fun. We like scoring goals. He shut us down. So that's number one that I'm worried about.
What's his name again?
Billy Bobrovsky.
Oh,
that's
okay.
who.
Sorry, sometimes I never know the way you're saying his name. And
the other
his
thing,
name lots tonight.
The one that's a bigger concern is because we just saw it last series against Tampa, that there were multiple games Tampa outplayed us, specifically games 3 and 4, that Tampa deserved to win. They didn't get the bounces. They lost those games, and they lost the series. They couldn't recover. Even if like they played really well in game 6, couldn't quite get that win, and then it was over. And you look at a game like this and say, yeah, we played really well. We should be able to carry it forward. I don't know if I'm like, probably most of the betting sites are having Florida as the favorite now. They're up 1-0 in the series. They only have to win 3 more. It's an uphill battle from here. And even if we are better, who's to say that a few more bounces aren't going to go Florida's way and then we're out? Like, it's a game of inches here. And the fact that we're already down 1-0, where I said on the last pod, I wanted to go up 2-0 in this series. These first 2 games are our home games. We battled 82 games of the regular season to be better than the Florida Panthers so we could win these first 2 games at home. We've already given one away. So it's tainted that we played so well, because the fact that we lost, it's an uphill battle now.
Did everyone on the Leafs
battle.
Did everyone on the Leafs though play as well as they could?
I thought TJ Brody had a rougher game. He seemed like a few times where he just made the wrong decision. Uncharacteristic of him, I would say.
Maybe not an excellent
Ended up
game
in the back
from
of the net.
Giordano either. Um, and,
Yeah.
and you talk about the aspects of the team that look tired. That John Tavares line looked tired and slow every now and again, right? Like I don't know. I just don't know that like
No, I would disagree with that one. I thought that Tavares and Nylander looked good. Nylander especially was flying out there. I thought he was going to get at least 2 goals. I don't have any quarrels with that line.
I
well
don't
then
know.
what is it? Because we
It's
lost. It's so hard. It's like we lost, but like this is like the weirdest loss we've ever had. Like I'm not mad about anything, but we lost.
I mean, we are now 0-6 in the playoffs under Kelly Sutherland, so take
Oh
them
yeah.
that what you will. But no, I don't have too many complaints about how the ref tonight. Like, did they call everything? Obviously not. But
The
was it
worst
even?
thing that the refs did was they took like half an hour to play out the last minute of the game where we all knew we were going to lose. We had to watch it anyway because they have to go to the replays and talk about high sticks. That was the worst thing the refs did.
I couldn't believe how many icings they called off.
Yeah. Hey, you know what was a huge
Um,
part of why though the Leafs lost tonight? I mean, the best player projected going into this series was Matthew Tkachuk, and he was the best player on the ice again tonight. I mean, that guy was everywhere. He assisted on their first goal. He was hitting everything that moved. Like you knew every single time that he was on the ice. And I don't know, like
What
he was a
what
problem
was
for the.
interesting
Go ahead.
What was interesting in what I noticed of Matthew Tkachuk is like it seemed the Leafs guys would go out of their way to finish their checks on Matthew Tkachuk. He got rocked a couple times by like I think was it Luke Shan or Jake McCabe like just bowled him
Both,
over.
both.
Both of them got him. So
Um,
I always enjoy that. I mean, there was actually quite a few big hits this game that like usually like if it was, with the goons of Tampa Bay, they would have started a brawl over them, but they just kind of kept playing.
Well, something I wondered though when I was seeing, yeah, how physical the Leafs were being, and really, there's just a handful of guys in Florida that hit, but it's like, are the Leafs being dumb by not by just being like, okay, let's go back to the old regular season, high flying, fast Leafs, and like maybe we need to play a little bit of this physical style that like all these really good playoff cup winning teams have done in the past, like.
that's what we were doing though. Like we were laying the boom on these guys, and we were finishing all our checks. Like McCabe and Shen specifically were playing super physical this game, and it didn't seem to slow them down too much. So maybe we leaned a little too much into that.
I mean, you say that, but like Jake McCabe finished the game at -3. Brody was -2.
Right, that's what I'm
We're,
saying. That like maybe this is a mistake. We're going too far in this direction, and we need to. That's not who we are. Maybe we're trying to play a method of hockey that's just not us.
I would say that the Leafs, if that was their goal, and like there might be merit to that being successful, they didn't go far enough in that direction. Then, like you need to goon. If you're gonna goon, you need to actually goon, and you need to be like there's an aspect of this gooning that Boston had done and that Tampa did with us that like it gets in the minds of these not like mentally strong players. And like, are you telling me that like Carter Verhaeghe isn't a guy that the Leafs might be able to get into his skull, and Nick Cousins and like Anthony Duclair and some of these guys that are just like, I don't know, like.
Nah, not interested. I watch these bums on Tampa and bums on Boston. They don't deserve to win. I don't want to stoop to their level. I don't want to lose the respect for the team that I love and bleed for and watch them goon it up on the ice. No thanks. I like our
Tim,
team.
do you want to respect the team that you watch, or do you want to see the team that you watch hoist the Stanley Cup? Which one do you want? Because you might not be able to have both.
well, here's the thing. I've watched what at least 2, if not 3 games of Tampa that we deserved to lose and we won, and then one game today that I may be going saying we deserved to win is a bit strong, but and then we lost. And it's like I had a better feeling after the games. Maybe not actually. We were still kind of nervous after
But
those games.
deserving to lose
those
is
games.
one thing, and playing like a bunch of goons and idiots is another. Like I'm okay if
No,
we
I
deserve
it,
to lose and win. But if
yeah,
you
no,
have a bunch
I'm
of
with
Nazem
Ryan.
Kadris and Michael Bunting losers out there, then no, that's not my team. I don't want it.
I'm with Ryan on this one. Like the Leafs, I think can beat Florida at this. I think we got a couple bad breaks where all of our mistakes ended up in the back of the net. What else is new? Um, so like I think at this point, not ready to hit the panic button, not ready to employ dirty tactics because the refs might look the other way.
You're right. I'm probably spiraling. And some of these goals against like it's scheme, like the Carter Verhaeghe goal, the Leafs got burned on by a guy who was cherry picking on the blue line, essentially, right?
Well, I mean, it was a bad pinch from Brody.
Yeah, I
And
guess,
like
but like
McCabe when McCabe had already gone up. So.
I just don't even know
And
what
then the
Verhaeghe
slow
was doing
forwards
all the
back
way up
checking.
there. Like I don't know. Some of it's you just
All right,
gotta.
well, let's talk
different
about
team.
Samsonov for a second here, because I kind of was going back and forth. He made some unbelievable saves, and he kept Florida the same thing that I could say we could have got 5 or 6. Florida could have got 5 or 6. Like they had some real good opportunities, and Samsonov shut the door. But it's the same thing that we saw with Matt Murray to the end of the season, where he's looking good, he's making some saves, but you let 4 goals in every game, and you're just like, sometimes you just that's not good enough. Like I don't care how many big
Mm.
saves you're making if you keep on letting 4 goals in. And he let 4 goals in tonight. So did he really have that good of a game if he's letting 4 past him? Maybe not.
Do you want?
Well, I
We
mean,
haven't had one
but
in a
it's
little
good.
while. Do you guys want a Ilya Samsonov quote? Post game quote.
I want to hear it.
All right, we got
Is
to
he
get
smiling?
tomorrow. Sun is up. Yeah.
I mean, maybe the rain is we've had nothing but rain all week.
That's a good one. That's one of the better ones. Tomorrow's sun is up. Yeah. I like it. All
Yeah.
right, I've forgiven him. I'm on his side again.
There is a
That's
question
good.
mark at the
Keep
end
me
of that. So
seated.
he's asking a question. Really, he's asking a question. Will the sun come up? He hasn't been in Toronto that long. It's a different
I
climate,
cannot
maybe.
wait for the morning to see if it's a sunny day or not. Now he
That's
has
why
me
he's
tantalizing at the bit.
letting four of them. We haven't had a good Sammy Smiles quote in a while. You're right. Like, but we're again like he let in 4. We're going up against a team that scored almost that many goals every single game this season. Like he's
Yep.
gonna have to be sharper. The Leafs are gonna have to be tighter defensively. It's just it's little
One
things.
other note. So you mentioned Matt Murray. Matt Murray now practicing with the team, not yet sitting on the bench as the backup, but getting closer. I don't think we're at the point where like, there's any question about keeping Samsonov or not. He's still the guy.
Yeah, I mean at least not for game 2 for sure. It's definitely going to be Samsonov. It's
But wait,
go ahead.
well, just if the sun doesn't rise, we're gonna need a different goalie in there.
All right.
You'll be too discouraged. Okay, so Samsonov is going to be in there tomorrow. Like that's almost for sure. Who do you guys make any other lineup changes? We said previously that Liljegren would only be in until they lost, and that lasted 1 game.
I didn't dislike any of our guys. If anything, and I don't think the Leafs should or will do this, but I think the weakest player, arguably in all 7 of our games so far, has been Mark Giordano, and maybe you take him out for Gustafsson even. I don't know. I don't think that they should or will do that because it's still Mark Giordano, but it's been pretty consistent that he, even with Timothy Liljegren, who actually played pretty well this game, I thought it just wasn't his best again. So I'm a little worried about the old guy.
Is Gustafson
Running
a
out of
left shot or a
steam.
right shot?
He's left.
Maybe they
Yeah,
go
so it'd be
11-7.
Gustafsson is.
I don't know, but
I mean,
you're right.
so one thing is, so like we played Florida like 4 times this year. Like 3 of them we went with 11-7, like it was the back half of the year. So, and I mean 11-7 means your big guys play more minutes. Part of me says I wouldn't be surprised if Keefe does that. Zach Aston Reese, not that big a factor. I mean, their fourth line once again, not that big a factor, I would say.
I thought they were
So,
fine. They were much better than they were against Tampa. Like
oh
Tampa,
yeah,
Tampa, you noticed how bad they were. In this
Mhm.
game, like if anything, they drew even when they
yeah.
were out like against the Kachuk and the top guys for Florida. So I don't have any problem with the fourth line this game.
But I think I think you go 11-7. I think that helps limit Giordano's minutes a little bit. Maybe like Lurgren's minutes as well, like depending on the scenarios. But
What
I don't
happened
know
to
if that's
what
gonna
I
Jordy
be.
think
Ben?
Keefe does.
I liked Jordy Ben. I was thinking about Jordy Ben today. How about
He was
Jordy
replaced
Ben?
by Luke Shen. We now have a new big tough guy on the blue line.
We swapped out our Ben for a Shen. Fair enough.
That's
All
right.
right. I don't change.
Listen,
I don't make
they
any lineup changes. I think they got to stop. You just got to stop changing the lines after every single game. So
well,
at
they
some point
call it
this
a
must
series
end.
for a reason, right? Like this, you look at the Leafs, even the most recent series. We lost game one 7-2, and we looked horrible. And we came back the next game and absolutely mopped the floor with Tampa. You look at Florida last season or last series. They won their first game against Boston the same way they did it last night. Then what happened? Boston won the next 3 games against Florida, and only on a lucky giveaway from Allmark did Florida stay alive to eventually come back. So it's going to be a series. No one in their right mind predicted this thing would be over in 5. Everyone knew it would be over in 6. So we're going to lose this one. We're going to lose another one after this, and like we'll be okay. We're in for a run here. I am no concern that the Leafs are going to get swept and that this is the end.
Ryan,
Well,
no concern. Me,
Ryan is the least sweaty man.
I'll go minimal concern, just slightly more than no.
You told me your bucket was dry.
Well, the more you guys talk, you make me a little more nervous.
Well, we'll see on Thursday.
Well, hold on. Let me ask you guys this question because I meant to ask it in our last playoff preview pod and I forgot. Leafs got past round 1. We did the thing. We're all very happy. Maybe it rings a little more true now, but is that good enough? Even if we put up a good fight against Florida and get eliminated in round 2, are you looking at this season as a success? We did the thing. We won a round. We beat Tampa Bay. Or are you looking at it as a failure? This team had higher aspirations. We should have made it at least to the conference finals or the Stanley Cup. Second round isn't good enough. Where are you guys at with that?
I would definitely view it as a missed opportunity. I think the fact that if it was Boston we were playing, we lost to Boston, I think that's fine. But I think because Boston is out, we've been handed an easier path to the conference final than we were expecting. So it would definitely still be disappointed. But I don't think it's at the point like if we were out in the first round, blow up the team, everything. Like I think that's all on the table. I don't think we see drastic changes because we won in round 1. I think that's the right decision.
I'll be absolutely furious if we don't win this series. I'll be just as mad as I was when we lost to Montreal. I'll be mad until the Leafs when the Leafs lose a series that they're favored in. All right, you're favored in this series. This team has clear, glaring holes. You're the Titan team that they should be afraid of, and yeah, you absolutely have to beat them. If it were Boston and the Leafs put out like a hard fought series and they end up losing, I'd have different feelings. But there's no reason that this series should get any more interesting than it's already become. That's my take.
I think that the Leafs beating Tampa saves some jobs. I think Dubas and Keefe are sticking around because of that. But I'm with you, Steven. If the Leafs lose this series, it's absolutely a failure. One round and then you're out isn't good enough for a team like the Leafs. We should be better than that. You think that's good enough for all these other teams to say, well, we won a round, but we got knocked off by the Florida Panthers in round 2? No, like I want to make it at least to the conference finals and to say we went toe to toe with all the best teams in the East. That to me is the minimum at this point. I'd say that I'd look back on the season and say, yep, it's another season we didn't get there if we lost in this round. So I want more.
I mean, on some sites, the Leafs are literally the betting favorite to win the cup at this point.
Yeah.
Like
they should be.
Let's get to work. This series I'm done talking about this series. It's over. We're going to be back in action on Thursday. Leafs in Toronto again. Let's get one win at least at home. And then we head to Florida drinking that dirty Florida water. And you better get at least 5 wins.
Who are you guys calling out next game? Who's going to be the Leafs MVP in game 2?
When Austin Matthews scores, the Leafs win. So it's got to be Austin Matthews.
Think he's going to step up? He had a quietish game today. He hit a post.
I thought he was pretty good. I wouldn't still call it a quiet game. He was all over the ice.
I said quiet-ish.
You know who looked good tonight, actually? Standards. Ryan O'Reilly looked pretty good tonight. I'll say Ryan O'Reilly, actually, because Matthews he's an easy answer.
Ryan O'Reilly just looked slow on their third goal. That was his man on
I
the
thought
back
it looked
check.
good too. Tim, what is wrong with you? The Leafs looked really good today. You're
Right.
staring at the L and you're a scarred
All
Leafs
I know
guy.
is that the camera from the back that was focusing on the Florida guy skating away had Ryan O'Reilly chugging along, watching the numbers.
We've been over this a half dozen times here on this podcast, Ryan. Tim's watching on an 85-inch TV. He sees things differently than you do watching on your
Here's
Game
the
Boy
problem.
Advanced under your sheets.
Ryan was at my house tonight, and they at least have a horrible record when Ryan is at my house. He's going to have to start locking the door. Maybe you can look through the window.
Right. To answer your question, Tim, I'm going to pick one William Nylander, Wee Willie Styles, as he's called sometimes in the broadcast. He's gonna score 3 next game. 3 goals for Willie. Calling it now. Well, I'll walk that back. 2 goals for Willie.
It better be. Everything we were talking about where like the Leafs are going to look good and like they're going to have these offensive opportunities. It was right there. You just got to put one past. You got to put one past. You got to put one past. That's it. That's it. Are we done?
That's it.
Sure.
I picked Morgan Riley.
All
He's going
right.
to step up.
We're done.
Playoff Mo.
We're
He's
done,
coming.
guys. Listen,
We're done.
the sun will come up. Wait, the sun comes up tomorrow. Yeah?
Tomorrow.
No.
Well,
We're done.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Tomorrow, sun is up. Yeah? That was the quote.
What
Never
about
change.
Thursday? Is the sun up on Thursday?
Pray for sun. Pray for sun, Leafs Nation.